Welcome back, Lisa Renna. I've missed you so much since your family packed their bags, loaded them in your mouth, and skipped town.
And does it match the blood you found inside Mr. Simpson's Bronco?
Yes, it's all from the same individual.
Then you mean all this time we could have been friends?
Judges your score.
Tell us what you don't like about yourself.
I'd like to go to Dreamland.
I'll take you there.
Who are you?
I'm Constance Langdon, and this is my fucking house.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Ryan Murphy Project, a podcast where we take an in-depth look at the life and career of one of TV's most prolific showrunners. I'm Eric.
And I'm Andrew.
Welcome back to another review here on the show. Andrew, we're really chugging along, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would think so. When you're awake, we're chugging. America and other countries, Eric has been having a sleeping problem, I would say.
Yeah, my sleep schedule's a little messed up. It's been hard. It comes and goes, you know.
I don't want to blow up your spot. I don't know if this is
this is the second time you've blown up my spot.
I don't know if it's a secret insecurity of yours. No,
I love sleep. I would rank sleep above like almost anything except my mom, I think.
Oh, God bless.
God bless. So how are you feeling about everything so far? This is now our, we'll say up top, obviously you saw the title, but this is our Scream Queens pilot part 2 episode. But how are you feeling about everything we've done so far?
Well, I'm excited about a part 2.
Yeah, this was your idea.
I thought that this was my idea, everyone.
100%.
And I'm glad we did. And I'm glad we did have it too, because it's like, this is our first season. Do you think we're gonna go in seasons of this podcast?
We'll talk about it.
And then we're just a few episodes in, bam, we have a 2-parter.
A few episodes in, only 3 weeks into the show, and we already have a 2-part episode for you. Come on, we're giving exactly what you want, Gen Z. There's a Gen X. Who do we have a rivalry with?
I think it's Gen X is the one that I talked about and I have feelings about. But I have so much. I actually love the Gen Z, the Zoomers.
Yeah.
I live for them. I like, oh, you're so smart, but you're quiet.
with your little TikToks.
He's like the Zoomers to me seem like Ariana's death scene at last episode. Like they would just
to tie it in.
Oh, I know. But yes, they would just text to death.
Yeah.
Like but with gifts and stuff.
Mm-hmm. How are you feeling about the Scream Queens part 2?
I think it had the biggest thing to me, because you watched it more recently than me, but I just really remember Denise Hemphill. Hemphill?
I think it's Hemphill.
Denise. No.
Denise, we'll call her. Back the Queen Niecy Nash.
Yeah, I thought that she was a really valuable addition. Otherwise, it just kind of... and then we got to know, obviously, Nick Jonas a little bit better this episode.
Yeah.
But it was definitely just an extension of what we kind of previously had watched, but still good.
Let me ask you, do you think, based on the pilots that we've seen and Ryan being notorious for having longer pilots... Do you think they mapped out this pilot as one episode and they were like, holy shit, this is an hour and a half worth of content?
No, I think it seems purposeful because this side of the episode, even though there's more death, is less horror inspired. Mm-hmm. It's less scary. It has less scary moments. It's more just like reveals, I guess, rather than a
lot of exposition.
And it's funnier and it's campier than the first episode was. So I feel like it could be. They thought this one out. They did.
Yeah.
Maybe the network wanted to just release it all at once.
Yeah. This episode was written by Brad, Ryan, and Ian, and directed by Brad. One thing we didn't mention in the last episode is Ryan said that he's planning on working on a sequel or a season 3 at least. He's currently developing that. We don't know much else, but he did say that on Instagram or something, right?
Yeah, even today when I was on the Wikipedia, it was like he had confirmed that he's working on a season 3 because he basically just commented to a fan. But then what could that be? Is that I'm trying to get everyone back together, or Netflix wants it? It could be
either
one.
Or just a whole new reboot, which might be good too.
Oh my god.
I think Scream Queens would bode better as a anthology like American Horror Story, right? Use the same cast, but like have a different story each year, and we just know that it's like campy and funny and light, but also scary, because it is it is a fun genre, and it's different enough.
The crux of this show is Chanel, though. They make her that too.
Yeah.
Like the whole first part of the pilot, part 1, was her pilot, and then
Well, I guess you're gonna have to come up with another main character, sweetie. That's what being a TV writer is.
I just
sorry,
but what if they don't make a
sorry?
funny?
Chanel's iconic. Time to let her go.
Emma Roberts is busy.
Emma Roberts is pregnant. They just announced today she's pregnant.
Who's she pregnant with?
Garrett Hedlund, that sexy bitch from Tron 2.
Oh, he was.
I saw
sexy
him.
in
I saw him in a
Tron
7-Eleven. I was behind him at 7-Eleven. I was like, oh my god, he's so sexy. He's so tall. He had like a leather jacket on. I was like, oh god, he lives in my neighborhood.
He would have a leather jacket on.
Yeah.
I don't know what else he was in, but Tron 2. Mm-hmm.
Tron Legacy was that shit.
What's up? I know, I love that one.
Okay, so about the pilot length, I am suspicious in that it may have just been one really long pilot they cut into 2. But, I think it works either way. Okay, so we ended on the pledges buried up to their heads, and the Red Devil had just ran over deaf Taylor Swift's head. And the last shot was Leah Michelle screaming into the camera. I do want to say something about Leah Michelle's screams before we move into this episode. Because obviously I have something to say about everything.
That's why we're on a podcast. We have opinion.
She said in an interview that she doesn't do her own screams like that, like those big ones especially, because it could damage her vocal cords. And she's a singer. I don't know if you know that.
She was a singer.
She's a Broadway. She was. True. She's been canceled.
I mean, if anything, that girl can sing.
Yeah. If we're going to give her anything, that's it.
It will be that.
So that's interesting. So take note of that as we watch her scream.
But I guess that makes sense because then even if you're not a singer, I wonder if they do their own screams. I can't scream.
I feel like some of them probably do, but yeah, I mean, they probably, even if they do them, the editor might be like, this fake canned scream is better for this moment.
Like my screams sound like, oh.
Like no shade to Billy Lord, but scream effect number 16 sounds perfect.
It's better.
Yeah. Okay, so we open on the crime scene. The house is taped off with police tape. Dean Munch is doing a VO as she charges into Kappa House the morning after this murder of deaf Taylor Swift.
I had written down VO as well, too.
Oh, you liking the term VO now?
And now that I know. Yeah, so she's having her whole little monologue, and then she looks great. She hates millennials so much, and I think this was like the time where it was cool to hate millennials, and now we're just a little bit older.
Yep.
And so
she,
then I think that this
she also hates women.
that way.
I feel like she hates women as well. She says she's like a feminist or anything, but the more she talks, obviously, she has a disdain for a certain type of woman.
Yeah, she hates Cap. Well, I guess, she don't really talk to any of the females on the show. Maybe her and Denise will talk more. She,
there's a news truck out there, and the lower third on the news truck says serial killer on campus. Dean Munch is just trying to keep everything cool and calm, and, doesn't want to shut down the school, doesn't want to send the Kappa girls home. She wants to keep everything normal and together.
When this whole thing that was going on, and I think I need to stop doing this, but I feel like it just seemed very Sue Sylvester again. And maybe that's
Dean Munch throughout the whole episode was giving me Sue Sylvester vibes the whole time. Okay.
Because I was just thinking, is this just how Ryan writes this sort of woman? Yeah. Or is it just is it just me thinking that she seems like that? But yeah, she just seems like. But he does that. He did that with, who else did I say was kind of like a Sue Sylvester?
The science teacher in Popular.
The science teacher. Oh, well, yeah. and then Nana on The New Normal too, except a meaner one.
And even Nene Leakes in The New Normal.
Yeah, no, it's true. So it's just Nene Leakes in fucking Glee was just a rival. So okay. So all right, so I wasn't wrong there.
No, not at all. And I feel like we're gonna get through like these first like 12 pilots and be like, well, we kind of found all his secrets, so I guess we don't need to really do the rest of the episodes. Could you imagine?
Oh my God. They're like, spoiler alert, that's how this ends, season 1.
Yeah, ooh, that's the twist. And then we'll reboot it in a few years and do the second episodes of all the shows. When Netflix comes a-calling with that Ryan Murphy
That's
money.
right.
Okay, so Dean Munch is like telling in her VO, she's trying to keep everything calm. She's telling the news people nothing's going on. She gets into Kappa House. She tells all the girls that they're all suspects as far as she's concerned. Where's Miss Bean? Where's Chanel number 2? Chanel's like, well, that's suspicious to me as well. And then Dean Munch says that they all should move into Kappa House so that they're all together and safe, which I don't know if that's a solid plan. Yeah. Obviously, it's part, if they don't, the story won't go, anywhere. So it seems like it serves the story more than anything else. But then Gigi says,
if someone is targeting you, they're going to find you wherever you are, And at least if you're here, you can keep an eye out on each other. We can make it fun, huh? Like a Friends episode. But someone's, trying to murder all the friends.
Good. Then it's decided.
Did you take offense to that, Friends Queen?
No, I'm here for all the Friends references. I'm okay with that. And then Chanel says, if anybody dies protecting a sister, they're exempt from Hell Week.
Oh my God, I have written down here that random ass speech that Predatory Les says. She's like, this is just the patriarchal, misogynistic capitalism issue that, whatever. And then who says Predatory Les always saying what everyone's thinking?
I think it's Gigi.
Oh, yeah. I laughed so hard.
Because this is when Gigi mentions that she's going to bring in a security guard for them to watch the house to protect them.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So if they're all living together, they can protect each other, and then she's also going to bring in a security guard.
Dean Munch comes just off really suspicious here too. Like for whatever reason, in my eyes.
Well, I think in this episode, they really frame it to that everybody has a moment where it's like it could be this person.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think? Before we get into all those moments, who do you think, based on these first 2 episodes, is the killer? Or do you think there's more than one? Or
I'm starting to remember, but then I watch scenes. I'm like, well, who's the killer there?
Yeah.
I'm like, so I'm a little confused on it. If I was just watching the episode and I didn't have the beautiful analytical mind that I do have on this podcast, I would think it was just the boyfriend, Pete.
Pete, okay. Yeah, I feel like they're putting a lot of weight into him.
Yeah.
Or her dad.
Yeah, well, her dad to me is just, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So then we cut to a scene where they're trying to get rid of the body of Chanel number 2. Ari's still laying on that floor playing her part. She said, I don't want any lines.
No, she's like, it's okay.
Maybe that's why they didn't have Ariana scream in her scene. That's why it was texted.
Well, that bitch could belt, so.
Yeah. So they're trying to remove the body, and then Hester walks in and she gives like a really creepy monologue about how she loves and she's obsessed with death, just like Trad Radwell.
Yeah, she comes in, she's like, we need to start breaking her teeth, and then we need to find a grinder.
She wants to grind down the body and pour it down the sink.
Like, this bitch just came in, like, unannounced, with her neck braced. And
no questions asked.
No, and then she's like, yeah, she, like, touches Arya on the floor, and then just starts going in, and it's like, that. I thought that was a funny moment, because if anything, if we're going to start giving Leah Michelle compliments, that she's a singer and she does make this role funny. I think in season 2 it's not funny, but right now she's coming off really good.
So they decide to move the body to the meat locker just like they did Miss Bean. So they go to the meat locker. Leah Michelle says we have to touch the body so that the soul doesn't haunt us or something like that.
Oh my God, I know. Like, she knows all of it. She knows how. So this is like her suspicious, crazy, funny moment. Mm-hmm. Of like, why does she have all this in-depth information on how to kill a body? Because I kid you not, I will, if I ever, I won't even say, but I'll just go down to Florida and I'll tie that person up with some ham, and then I know what to do. That's all I'm going to do.
Thanks, Nip Tuck.
Yeah.
And then she's like, can I call you guys mom? So she also has mommy issues on top of death issues. So definitely some red flags here for her.
This is when we we get a little glimpse into Chanel number 2, because then she Leah Michelle's character wants to call them mommy, and then Chanel number 2 pops up. She's like, well, yeah, actually it's like a pop culture trend where young girls find meanings in older women. Lord's friends or Lord's fans call her mom. Mm-hmm. And that's it. That's all she says the whole episode, kind of. But I remember, I just like her dry delivery. Like, obviously, she really shines in this and for Ryan, because then he takes her other places. And I honestly love Chanel number 2 too. Like,
yeah.
And I think it's so. I like that little shine she got.
Yeah, and I feel like it's an underhand. It's a slight to millennials as well. It's like, look at this weird shit millennials are doing, by the way.
We didn't even cancel people back then.
2015 was the borderline between Zoomers and millennials, like crossing over into like the formative late teens, early 20 years, and then the millennials are transitioning into early 30s and stuff like that. So I feel like this is riding a fine line between making fun of both those generations at the same time.
Sure. Okay.
And then we're introduced to Denise Hemphill, again played by legendary Niecy Nash.
Niecy Nash. I love her so much.
I know.
Like, put this whole segment should just be her talking.
I'll play her little intro.
Well, ladies, you have nothing to be afraid of so long as I'm around. Though technically I'm not a police officer. I mean, as you can see, I'm not licensed to carry a sidearm. I am employed by Secure Enforcement Solutions, which is a private contractor hired to work in tandem with campus security.
Wait, so you don't have a gun?
No, I do not, but I do have a nightstick, okay? I have pepper spray, and I have a walkie-talkie that I can use to call the police who do have guns.
What good are you? We can call the police ourselves.
Well, with Denise Hemphill on the scene, you're not gonna have to. Now, if there is a killer on this campus, Denise Hemphill's gonna make damn sure that everybody in Kappa House is safe and sound until that killer is brought to justice.
How?
I'm glad you asked. With the Secure Enforcement Solution 3-step program, right? Step 1, if you are in danger, scream Denise Hemphill's name real loud. I will be on the premises at all times, and I will come a-running. Now, let's just say you scream Denise Hemphill's name and I do not come a-running. That means I'm not on the premises. Okay, in that case, proceed to step 2. Call 1-866-KLJ-0199. Okay, I will be notified immediately and come a-running.
Wait, sorry, what?
Hold on. Now, if you can't get through to the 866 number because of long wait times and such, then what you're going to want to do is proceed to step 3. Get the hell out of there. Run away real fast.
Are you serious?
Yeah, run away. Get out of there. Scram. Okay? And when you get to a place that is deemed by you to be safe, call 1-866-KLJ-0199. All right? Now, I would give you my number, but my cell phone is off right now. But if you call the 866 number, boom, on the walkie, they can always get me. We need to go over the steps again.
Like, I knew Niecy from Reno 911, because for whatever reason I used to watch that. And then from here, she's from Screen Queens. I think she kind of got like pushed into it a little bit more. And then she has her own show on TNT called Claws. Have you ever seen that?
She's been a character actor in a bunch of stuff too. But yeah, I think this was a big show, so I think it helped her. I don't know. I feel like people know her more from Reno 911 though. You know what I think's funny? So working at my job at CBS, phone numbers is part of my job, like clearing phone numbers and helping shows find phone numbers that they can use. And like I know the meaning behind the 555 bullshit and all that kind of stuff. So
okay.
But 866 is the number you use for 1-800 numbers. So if you ever see a 1-866, it's a fake number. That's what the number is. It's designated for TV. But KLJ on a phone. What number is that?
KLJ 555.
Yeah, see? That's why she says the number is 1-866 KLJ. It's because they want to say it out loud, but they didn't want to be like 555 because shows hate with a burning passion actually using 555. So I think they said the letters so that they can get away with saying it.
That is so behind the scenes.
I know.
I love that. I love knowing that. Okay, cool. She has the best intro ever, because
it's a really great intro, yeah.
Because it's the funniest with Gigi there, just nodding along, and her talking to the Chanels of all people, and they're like, "What is going on?" And then Denise is just like, she lays into it, and I remember watching that for the first time, being like, "This is amazing!" Like it's worth just cracking up over.
So then we cut to the pledges are still in Hell Week, and they're cleaning the floors of the sorority house. And Chanel says they need more soap. And then Zayday says, if you want the place clean, you shouldn't have burned the maid's face off. So then Grace, being the final girl that she is, decides to go to the basement to get more soap.
This little interaction with Zayday and Emma, just like, like Emma says stuff later that's kind of like, oh God, to Zayday, and like, forever for the next 2 seasons does not like her, because she's like such a great counterpart to her. But it's just like, God, she just like, so it's really interesting, just like right off the gate that she comes for her. And I wonder if it's like an insecurity thing, or I wonder if it's like a black thing. Because then later on in the episode, she says more racial shit.
Yeah.
But here she's just kind of coming for her,
Yeah. I think it's they want to pit a strong black woman against a strong white woman, and make the strong white woman the insecure one.
Oh, okay.
Because that's what a Karen is. She's a baby Karen.
And Zayday does not crack, no. like throughout.
And she never will, bitch.
She's still no. Through the whole season, she's always kept a level head. I don't know.
That's why we stand Zayday.
So when Grace is in the basement, I actually noticed what I presume is an Easter egg. There's like the gloves, Red Devil sort of red gloves on the little shelf that she's trying to get into.
There's also the Red Devil.
Oh, yeah, but he left his gloves.
So Grace is down there, getting some cleaner, and we see the Red Devil. I did not notice the gloves because I was looking out for him. Why do you think that's an Easter egg?
Well, it's probably not an Easter egg, but then it's like... But then why is his gloves down there? I don't know.
Well, it could have just been cleaning gloves, right? She was in the cleaning closet.
I know, but that color red that he uses, like on all his little tools and stuff. I'm just saying, so maybe maybe that's a visual clue that like the killer's in the house, like if the gloves are down there.
Well, I think the visual clue of the killer being in the house is when we see the killer in the house when Grace is in the basement.
Fine, it wasn't a fucking Easter egg.
Now who's dragging who, bitch? Come on. Come for my sleep schedule one more time, motherfucker.
Just wake up. That's all you gotta do. Just wake up when your alarm rings, and that's it.
I don't set an alarm. That's why I don't wake up. So Grace finds the soap. It's on the very, very, very top shelf. So she climbs all the way up there, even though bitch did not have to climb up there. She could have reached it. But she climbs up and the whole shelf falls on top of her. She's okay. Don't worry. Bitch pushes the shelf back up, and then she notices a hidden door behind the shelf. And while she's looking to like figure out if she can break into this door, Chanel number 5 appears suspiciously behind her. And she's like, only the president has the key to that door. It's like, why is it hidden if it's known that the president has the key to that door? And she's like, and nobody else knows what's inside there. That was just like such a forced exposition. That whole from the cleaning the floors to that discovering the door, it was just like such a blah scene for me. I'm
gonna come back to this a little bit later because I had a question about the next time that Grace is in the basement.
Okay. So then the next scene is Pete and Grace.
Pete and Grace are just in the dorm, just like, and then there was a locked door and tiny keys to get into
fucking
the door.
Shaggy and Velma.
Just like, it's like, oh, okay. And then the only redeeming funny part about this to me is that they kiss at the end. Like, because I've always wanted to like have that moment too. We're just like
we're heated from a mystery.
We're
Yeah.
heated from a mystery, and then we kiss. I'll kiss anybody. I'll
in the
kiss
middle of
you.
a mystery, I'll kiss anybody. It's like
I'm
we found the murder weapon. Kiss me.
I love when TV shows do that, where they just like randomly have characters kiss when they're hype. I'm like,
heat of the moment.
I would be that. Hopefully,
you're a passion
less
kisser.
Spontaneous.
So that's really like the only reason they have this scene is for them to kiss and move their relationship forward. But then they give Pete the villain angle when they leave to mark their plan. So Pete's gonna break into Dean Munch's office to see if he can find anything on Kappa House, and then she's gonna break into the cabinet to see what's in that little room. And then we get the little villain angle from Pete. So that's like their way of like, is Pete the villain? Who knows?
Him being the villain thing is I don't know, maybe because I just watched this movie, but it just again says to me a little bit like Scream, the first Scream, just like the boyfriend being it. It just kind of has that, because if you watch it now with like the eye, just watch it now and you know who the killer is in Scream, you're like, it's the boyfriend, duh.
Yeah.
The camera lingers on him, and they're doing that same sort of edit to Pete.
There are also a few moments where they say things like murderer and suspect and who did it, and they're talking and discussing, and the camera does sometimes line up with who the murderer is when they say those kind of things. And there's a couple scenes where that happens. I won't say which ones.
Okay, cool.
So then we cut to Munch is in her office with Wes, Grace's dad. He wants to pull her off campus. She's telling him no. I don't know why she's so persistent about keeping Grace on campus. This would be suspicious to me.
Yeah.
There's a funny scene at the beginning of their conversation though where she offers him a drink.
Mr. Gardner, can I call you Weston?
Call me Wes. Is this scotch? It's 10 a.m.
Well, I actually have in here that JLC is coming off very suspicious. That's in my notes.
Yeah, she's also dressed very dangerously in this scene. Her boobs are pushed up and everything. Yeah. So he wants to pull Grace off campus. She's telling him no, she'll be safer here with a house full of girls, surrounded by security, being watched instead of just alone home with you. Whatever. Which is not a great argument. Why is he even going to her in the first place? It's your daughter, just pull her out.
Yeah, realistically, you're coming the fuck home.
Yeah. So then he says, okay, after she finds out that he's a widow, she gets all wet from that. And then he's like, all right, I'll let her stay if you can give me a job as a professor on campus. Which is not how you get those jobs, but all right, given the circumstances.
But maybe it is. No, he was a professor before this. That's what he said.
Yeah, but still. And it's kind of suspicious. Does the killer want to be closer to campus, or does Grace's dad want to be closer to campus?
Oh.
Drama. So then we cut back to Grace breaking into the little secret room in the basement. And we see a bunch of old stuff and old dusty mysteries,
Mm-hmm.
So then she finds an old chest, and in the old chest she finds stuff from the 1995 party, specifically the CD with the playlist.
Yeah, the
hint playlist. Who likes playlists? And then we also see the tub covered in dried blood as well. So she sees all of these little puzzle pieces.
LOL, you still have that tub. We're like, one day we're gonna refurbish this tub. I'm gonna put it back upstairs.
Well, it's proof of the murder. They don't want to put it out there. They want to hide it in a room.
Oh, okay, sure.
It's not like they want to put on the sidewalk free tub.
No people died giving birth here.
And then while she's rifling through the stuff, Chanel pops up.
Yeah, and then Chanel, basically we cut back to the cold open, the scene from the first episode where everybody's in the bathroom saying, well, what do we do? This pledge just gave birth.
Yeah, because Grace is like, what's in that tub? Is that blood? And then Chanel goes, apparently a girl died in there giving birth.
And then Emma
and the girls left her there. And she's like, but it was a super fun party.
So stupid.
So then we flash back to that, like you said, that's that scene from the cold open, but from a different angle this time.
Well, because then in this flashback, more people are added to the secret of knowing about this baby being born and the dead pledge.
Yeah, so we have the three sisters, and then we have the dead girl in the tub, and then we have the other sister who was with the dead girl, and she's still holding the baby, and she's like, we're all going to pay for this. And as they're trying to figure out what to do, Dean Munch with black hair walks in.
But then after her comes Ms. Bean.
Ms. Bean back with a bob haircut.
She's like, nothing goes on in this house without me knowing.
Yeah. So Dean Munch and Mrs. Bean are in the scene, and then we cut back to Grace and Chanel in the basement, and Grace is like, Dean Munch covered this up, and apparently that's the rumor, right?
Yeah, suspicious.
And then Grace is like, what happened to the baby?
The baby's our age.
Nobody knows.
So what I was thinking here was like, okay, so this is common knowledge that something happened with this pledge. Like, Chanel knows the secret.
I think it's common knowledge amongst higher ups in the sorority. Like, maybe
that's what I was gonna say. So it's like, is it just like since the president's the only one that has the key to that room? Is it just
exactly.
like a secrets room, you know?
Yeah.
And then she knows, but then why is Chanel giving it to Grace?
I would love a secrets room.
Me? Oh God, I would need a secrets room.
I think there's a part of Chanel that's like, I can't beat Grace. I just kind of have to be honest with her. I might need her. You know, I have to keep her. I can't push her away like Zayday. I have to keep her at an arm's length, rather. You know.
Sure.
So I think her telling her really was just for us to find out. But it was also like she's somewhat. I think she likes Grace more than she likes Chanel No. 5 and Chanel No. 2. You know, secretly because she wants to be Grace.
I could see that.
There's also a fun thing in this scene and throughout the series as a whole. They use sound as They utilize sound effects, and the way they design their sound in the show is really great. From the top, the very opening scene is that horror buzz, you know what I mean? That whine, which is like jarring, and it's like a really cool sound, and it sounds almost like an old horror. It might be from another horror movie actually, but it's just like the sting that comes in, and is very unsettling. And in this scene, there's like a cool swoosh sound. Every time the flashlight goes past the camera, it's a really, I don't know, it's just like something I picked up on.
I remember hearing that.
It was really interesting. I like that. Points for that, you know?
Points on the board. That flashback, I guess, didn't reveal anything too much, other than that just Dean.
No, it's cool to see them like in the room and like in that generation. You know, these two women are there.
That's true.
It hints to the idea of like, well, Miss Bean's body still is missing. What if Bean and Munch are working together? You know. So then we cut to Chad and Chanel having sex. God, I have a crush on fucking what's his name? Glenn Powell.
Glenn Powell. Yeah.
Glenn Plow me.
I think I'm more of a top.
Thanks, Ernie. And it doesn't sound like Chad, like Dean Munch said, is great at having sex, but they're doing it. No. And then Chanel's not into it because obviously she's worried about the serial killer. And she brings that up, and then Chad's like, man, I would love to have sex with your dead body. And, rightfully so, it kills the mood. And Chanel breaks up with him.
Ew, Chad. That's like her thing. What are the things when she like gets up from bed, because you should not say, I love having sex with your corpse or whatever he said. And then
unless you're Glenn Powell.
And then he pops up out of bed after seemingly just having sex, and he has boxers on.
Well, he's putting them on under the blanket.
Oh, okay. I missed that.
Yeah, I was watching only him in this scene.
Was looking. I was like, how did that happen? And you know how to tell if, like, a straight guy from a gay guy, this is in my opinion, is that whether they have, like, a straight guy butt, which is presumably flat, and then a gay guy's butt at least has a little bit of features to it or something. There's emphasis.
That's your real way of telling?
And there's emphasis
I don't believe in that.
On the butt. It's very true.
I think there's a correlation, if we're going to talk about butts. I think there's a correlation that guys with bigger butts have bigger dicks, too.
God, I hope so. I hope so. No, that's how you could tell. Because straight guys don't care about their butts. They don't care what it looks like. They don't dress their jeans around it. They make it flat and they make it disappear.
I feel like straight guys with genuinely big butts, though, they don't work it out. It's just that's genuine about them.
Yeah, that's genuine. And that's hot. But what I'm saying, what I had written down here is that Chad had no butt. And I was like,
oh, okay. Straight.
No butt, straight.
I would like to see the science on that. Let me know if you can come up with a research paper. And I'll see if I can counter it. So yeah, so they break up in this scene. Chanel's just had too much. She can't take it anymore. And Chad says, "You're going to be sorry." And he walks out. And then we cut to Chad back in his dorm at the fraternity house.
Okay.
And Boone is in bed snuggling up his little froggy. Who also, like, Nick Jonas can also plow me, by the way.
Oh, definitely. He's so cute.
But, you know, it's weird. We're 6 episodes into this, and we don't really know who our listenership's going to be. You know what I mean? Like, we are assuming, based on our friend group, like, who we're friends with, who follows us, it's going to be a lot of gay people or people in the LGBT community. But also, like, these other shows, like Glee and Scream Queens and stuff like that, they have, like, a younger fan base, I feel like. People who, like, idolize, like, Billy Lord and Emma and all these other kind of people. So I feel like it's gonna be, I don't know how to, I guess just being ourselves like we have been is the best way to go about it, but like ourselves is kind of dirty bitches.
I have just recently been, I think that we need to just keep being ourselves, because I've also just been recently on this trend of just like telling the honest truth all the time.
That's the time we're in, baby.
And so yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Okay. And then if it's like a random straight guy watching, imagine he's like, I don't have any butt.
There are no straight guys listening to this show.
No, it's not.
I wish that was. Instagram gives you your demographics, like male, female, age, all that kind of stuff. I wish they could give us gay or straight demographics. So we cut to Chad and Boone, and Chad tells Boone that they broke up, and he's going to bed, and Boone's like,
"Oh, don't worry, bro. Don't worry. She's gonna come crawling back to you in no time."
Good night, Boone.
Hey, Chad.
Yeah?
I'm really scared. You know, it's a serial killer on the loose. Just having trouble sleeping. You know, it would really help me feel better if I could just, like, crawl in bed with you.
Hey, Boone. Do you remember that time there was that big thunderstorm and you were really scared and you asked to crawl into bed with me and I was a little weirded out, but you're my little bro, so I said okay, and then you tried to touch my wiener.
Yeah?
One of the least fun things in life is when you're gay, bro. He's gay and he knows you're not gay and he tries to touch your wiener anyway.
Yeah, Chad, I know. All right, I said I was sorry. One-time thing. I'm just really scared. You know, it would really help me feel better if I could just crawl into bed with you for a few minutes.
Are you gonna touch my wiener or are you gonna leave my wiener alone?
I'll leave your wiener alone.
BFFs, get over here.
This whole scene is like ripe with like sexual tension.
Yeah.
But funny too. It wasn't like, oh hi. It was actually really funny. They pulled it off really well, those two.
Yeah. So Chad agrees to let Boone cuddle with him under the condition that he doesn't touch his wiener.
Because what? Because at one point during a thunderstorm, Nick Jonas had previously snuck into his bed or whatever and touched Chad's wiener.
Tried to touch his wiener, yeah. But while they're cuddling in bed, Chanel storms back into the house. This is like, what, an hour later, maybe? Like,
an hour, totally different outfit, like in the middle of the night, have heels, a shawl, like all of it's being done.
She comes over to apologize and to get back together with him. But she finds Boone in bed with him and they're cuddling, so she obviously thinks they're hooking up. And then when Boone jumps out of bed, he has a big boner, which we don't see on camera, which, annoying.
I know, it's like...
I almost want to write a letter to the FCC about that.
It's like he would have a big boner.
But then Chanel and Chad go into the hallway to talk.
He's like, and then when they're talking, he's rationalizing the normalcy of like Boone sleeping in his bed even though he has a boner. Yeah. And then it's like, so Boone is his little bro, his little brother, which is, as you know, little brothers, they're cute. Because it's a fraternity thing for those who don't know. Like, you get a big bro and a little bro. And some fraternities take it seriously, some don't. And then I also picked up that it's a golf frat.
Yeah,
which is
specifically
like,
a golf fraternity.
There's not like that much legitimacy there.
Yeah.
And then he's also saying, he's like, everyone wants to have sex with me, even plants.
Yeah.
Like, I think you want to have sex with plants, Chad.
He's like, and don't tell anyone that Boone is gay, because then we can't hit golf balls at the Gay Straight Alliance anymore. But then he reads Chanel, and he calls her a homophobe, and breaks up with her. She apologizes, wants to get back together. He says, I'm breaking up with you now.
Chanel gets really sloppy when it comes to him.
Yeah, which is something I think they want to, like, show of hers, you know? Part of her.
Yeah, because she needs, I guess, some weakness because she's such an ill bitch.
So the next scene we cut to is Pete breaking into Dean Munch's office, which I think this is so funny. So he's using, like, an old-timey, like, you know, tropey glass cutter that cuts a perfect circle where he can reach his hand in the door and unlock it to break in. And as he's reaching in the door after he cuts the circle out to unlock it, the whole glass just shatters, and it's just so fucking loud. And I thought that was, like, one of the funniest moments of the episode. It was really good. Because I was like, look how, like... Because they do moments where they're, like, doing an homage to something. Mm-hmm. But it's fun that they subverted it and made it, like... it started as an homage, then just it turned into something that was just, like...
Bam.
So appropriate.
So Scream Queens.
So he breaks into Dean Munch's files. He finds a list of names in a folder marked Kappa Party 1995. Mm-hmm. And he writes down a list of 5 last names. So he writes that down, puts it in his notebook, and then boom, he's hit over the head by the Red Devil, who was in the office the entire time. How he missed him, I don't know. But he was there, and he hits him over the head. So he passes out, and he wakes up tied to a pillar outside the building.
And what did the pillar... what did the pillar say?
The pillar didn't say anything.
Whoa,
Pillars don't talk, bitch.
Where did I go? No, what did the sign say?
Oh, so he had a sign taped to his chest that had MYOB,
yeah,
which is slang for mind your own business.
Oh.
But that's like, what kind of slang is that, though? That's like AOL chat slang.
Yeah, I didn't know. It's past my time.
Exactly. It's very, what is it? 90s.
Oh,
bitch. Secrets.
I see now. I see. Oh. Interesting.
Or is it? Who knows? So then we cut back to Pete's room where Grace is like helping him nurse his wounds, and he gets naked on the bed and he's trying to seduce Grace and have sex with her, and she's turning him down at every turn. And she says, let me get you some clothes. So she opens up his closet, and boom, a well-lit, in the closet, Red Devil costume.
I would have sex with Pete. I would be seduced,
especially
by
after
him.
seeing him in his underwear.
Yeah. I'd be like, I shouldn't sleep with a serial killer.
Yeah.
But
I would love to find out that I slept with a serial killer after the fact.
And then
I don't know that I couldn't know that going into it. Absolutely not.
Yeah. No.
But after the fact, if 4 years from now I found out a hookup was like a serial killer, I'd be like, one of two things. Like, A, why not me? And B, I slept with a serial killer. What a name for a memoir. Yeah. Like, I survived.
I just watched this YouTube video about how American Horror Story specifically like sexualizes its serial killers and how, but like, and that's okay to a point. But it's the
Zac Efron Ted Bundy effect.
Yeah, but like primarily the serial killers are shirtless or seen in a sexy life. Some get romantic relationships. But the problem with American Horror Story is that they do a lot of like real life serial killers, and how when they sexualize a real life serial killer, it demeans the victims and their families. Yeah. And I was like, oh, interesting. I never thought of it that way. So now that we're talking about sleeping with serial killers, I'm like, am I wrong for...
No, because it's like, would I have sex with Andrew Cunanan? No. Would I have sex with Darren Criss acting as Andrew Cunanan? Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I would.
And that's the tea on that issue.
He'd be a fun bottom. Now let's move on.
Oh, shit. By the end of this podcast, we will get to the bottom of whether or not Darren Criss is a top or a bottom. So she finds the mask. She gets freaked out because obviously she knows that this red devil has something to do with everything going on because she's one of the few people that's seen it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she freaks out and he's like, no, I'm the school mascot. That's why I have this. And she's like, how old are you? He's like, 19. I turned 20 in a few months. She's like, that's the same age as the baby. And then
Bam, runs out. That's the same age as the baby.
So that's where we leave that scene. So we end on Pete with like a villain angle again. It's like, okay, all the things are adding up against Pete. He was a stalker. He has the costume. He's really interested in this, issue. Obsessed much, bitch? And then we cut to the Chanels at a coffee shop talking about how they're going to haze the girls, and Boone walks in to talk to Chanel because he's worried that she's going to out him.
Because he wants to come out on his own.
Yeah, exactly, which, is not asking for much, I don't think.
It's not. And what does Chanel say back?
So then he's like, I want to come out and then I want to join the Kappas because you have to take anybody, right?
Yeah.
So he wants to join their sorority, and Chanel is kind of into the idea because she would be the president that oversees the first man joining a sorority.
Yeah.
And so she's into that for her career and her future. But Chanel number 5 is not having it. And she basically threatens Boone.
Wouldn't.
She wouldn't.
She wouldn't. Not Chanel number 5.
I'm glad we don't talk about her a lot.
We don't. We're just like Chanel number 2, Ariana Grande.
Yeah, we had a whole 15-minute conversation on Chanel number 2's one line, but haven't brought up Chanel number 5 once. So then Boone walks away and he's like, I trust you'll consider my offer. And we see a little villain angle on him as well. He gives a little smirk to the camera.
Uh-huh.
So they really do a good job in this episode, giving us a lot of exposition, but at the same time, leading us in all these different directions. Almost every person has a villain camera moment, And then we cut to Denise in the car, and she's scared because Chantel shows up, her coworker, with some burgers from Shake Burgers or something like that.
Yeah.
And so they're eating burgers in the car, gabbing it up, just like us. That's basically me and you. You're Denise, I'm Chantel.
Thanks for bringing the burger. This scene just basically shows how funny fucking
Denise is. Just a little comic relief scene. So they're in their car, staking out the house outside and eating some burgers. But then we cut back into the house, and Gigi and the girls are looking out the window. They're like, who's in that car? And they're like, oh, that's Denise. And he's like, no, that other car. And there's a Jeep outside, and Grace is like, ugh, that's my dad.
That's my dad's Jeep. And then Gigi goes out.
She's like, let me talk to him.
She's like, let me talk to him. And then she kind of pops in. And this is a pretty good scene.
Yeah, it's cute.
Then, they have good chemistry together. So then Gigi comes in the car with Grace's dad, and then, she's trying to be like, it's okay, we're safe in here. I'm a woman, listen to me. I'm also the president. I'm also a lawyer. I'm stuck in the 90s.
Yeah.
He's playing 90s power ballads.
And she calls it. She's like, are you listening to 90s male power ballads? And he's like, that's the exact name of this playlist. So they have a cute moment where they revel in the 90s. She's basically telling him to back off and stop being a helicopter parent. And again, the scene's cute. They hit it off, and they decide to drive off and get some coffee, i.e. have sex.
Yeah.
And as they pull off, we see Dean Munch, villain-like, lit under a tree, watching them from afar.
She's just there.
She's just there. We don't know if she was on her way there.
She's Sue Sylvestering.
Yeah.
Just there.
Yep. And then we cut back into the side of the house, and Chanel is writing flaws on the girls, like poo belly and all this other kind of stuff in eyeliner for their Hell Week exercises. She calls Zayday a hood rat in this episode.
I know.
Or in this scene. And then she says, I have to go upstairs and get white eyeliner so it shows on you.
Well, she makes a big deal
fucking
about
racist.
This. I know. Because they're writing on the other girls with Sharpie, and she's just like, hold on. She just makes it so... Ugh.
So then we cut back to Denise and Chantel in the car eating, and we hear Chanel scream from outside the house.
Mm-hmm.
Chantel's sleeping.
And so then Denise comes a running.
She comes a running because that's what she said she's gonna do. You scream, she comes running.
And she didn't do much. She didn't do much when she got to the house. She
Well,
was
no,
just
because
like, don't go up there.
Chanel comes running downstairs, and she's like, the Red Devil broke into my room, but she fought him off somehow. And she runs downstairs, and all the girls are like, we have to go upstairs. If he's still in the house, we have to go grab him or catch him or whatever. And Denise is like, actually the only sound logical one. She's like, no, stay the fuck your ass downstairs. And they ignore her, and they run upstairs. And she's like, all right, I'll watch the door. So she stays downstairs for a second. The girls run upstairs into the room, and written on the wall in blood, it says, sluts will die.
Mm-hmm.
So, this killer is sexist. And he is slut-shaming people now.
Well, this is like when I started getting, I'm like, whoa, who is the killer? You know? Because who I thought it was is they're in the house.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know what the hell is going on.
So Denise decides to run outside and get back up and call on her walkie and leave the house. So she runs to her car, and as she's running to her car, she has to stop because she gets a cramp in her side because she came a running, and it was a little too much running. But inside the car, we see the Red Devil pop out from the back seat with a knife, and Chantal has no idea she's sleeping. And then when Denise Hemphill gets to the car to make the call, she turns to look at Chantal, and she says,
The killer is in the house. Ah! Chantel, why you got a knife in your throat?
Which iconic line.
Iconic.
For
trailer
reason.
moment, baby.
It's true.
And so she screams and she just drives off. She's like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And she stops like halfway on the block and kicks Chantel out of the car. And her body just left on the ground, and Denise Hemphill rides off into the sunset, even though it's nighttime.
And that's what you call good security.
And that's what you call an ending to an episode.
It wasn't the ending, though. No.
Yes, it was.
That was the ending of the episode?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it had more.
What'd you have?
Didn't Nick Jonas die?
No.
Not in this episode?
No.
Are you fucking with me?
No.
You think that her pushing Chantel at the out of the car is the end of the episode?
It is, yeah.
I'm like, did I watch more? Did I somehow watch more?
Did I somehow watch less?
I thought Nick Jonas died, and then he comes back, and I wear my sunglasses.
Why would he?
Night.
Oh my God, you're so right. I missed the entire last 6 minutes of this show.
Listen,
I have to watch this right now. Hang on, I have to watch this right now.
Okay.
Okay, I watched it.
All right. So what did you think?
So it doesn't end with Shondell being murdered and kicked out of the car. After that scene, there's a commercial apparently that Hulu just decided not to show me. We cut to Boone working out to Sunglasses at Night.
Well, I have Hulu without commercials, so.
Oh, I'm so sorry, bitch.
$13.
Wow. I don't even know whose Hulu is signed into my iPad.
Oh my God.
I don't pay for Hulu.
You're like, I'm fucking up
it's
your
signed
whole
into my iPad.
algorithm.
I know.
I'm fucking it all up. Well,
yeah, I have no idea who's. I need to look into that though, because maybe I can pay them to get commercial free.
So then, yeah, Nick Jonas is working out to "I Wear My Sunglasses," that song, and he's not wearing sunglasses, but he is shirtless, doing like bicep curls, etc. He has like a whole thing in his room, just like a full weight rack, and he's looking good, and he's feeling himself too.
And I'm feeling him.
He's like flicking his nipple. He's like winking at himself.
I feel like he's into nipples. I don't know why, but some guys you can just like look at or get a feel for their personality, and you're like, you're into nipple play, you know?
Well, sometimes if you see a guy's nipples, then you're like, oh, you're into nipple play.
Well, yeah, that too.
I'm into it.
He has big
That's
nipples.
Fine. Oh, he does?
I know you're into it. Yeah. I think he has bigger nipples.
Let's see.
You looking it up?
I'm
Type in Nick Jonas nipples, and I bet I feel like there's a picture of like big nipples at like a beach or something.
Nipples. You should put in the clip here of fucking Family Guy saying Lois saying nipples. What a dirty word. He does. Wait, no. Now I'm just looking up. Now it's like oversized nipples on Nick Jonas.
I think no, but I think that's her. I think that's her real nipples.
I'm just gonna look up hold on, Nick Jonas shirtless for a second to see if that, because that's like really big nipples. Nah, shirtless. I think he has the same size as my nipples. Nipples. Oh, I don't know. I guess they could be. Oh, this is thick, Nick Jonas. I'm into that. Hey. Okay, I think we have.
This podcast is just you looking up Nick Jonas pictures.
All right, let me put this away. Nick Jonas poses shirtless again. That's a headline.
So he's working out the sunglasses at night, and then the devil creeps up into the house and opens his door, and Nick Jonas says,
What, am I supposed to be scared?
So after he says that, it cuts to the other golf fraternity brothers coming up the steps. So they go upstairs and they hear a scream, and then they go downstairs and they find Boone dead, sprawled out with his neck sliced on a table, surrounded by candles in his undies.
Yeah. Why do you think they killed him in such an elaborate way?
I just think they wanted to make a show of it. Since we find out at the very end of this episode that he's alive, yeah, I think they just wanted to make a show of it, so people didn't really question it.
Because all the other kills have just been like really quiet, and so this is like a display, and like in my eyes. So I was like, why are they doing that for him?
Yeah. So then we cut to the Kappas at like a dinner table situation, and Chanel's trying to get them to eat this what she calls gross Oriental food. And it's just like a plate of like blood and brains.
Mm-hmm. They also want her to drink her poopy hand water.
Yeah, she washed her hand in a bowl of water. She tells them to drink that. And Hester does.
And Hester's like, I'll drink it.
She's a fucking weirdo.
I know.
So she drinks that shit. And then they're just trying to like figure out who the serial killer is, and they're pointing fingers at each other. Zayde brings up, Chanel killing Miss Bean. And then she brings up Melanie Dorcas, who was the president that was killed with the spray tan solution. And they're just pointing at each other, Chanel blames Hester, and then she blames Gracie, and then they blame each other, and it's just a whole thing of just them pointing fingers until Chad and Denise show up at the same time.
I know.
So they both burst through the doors.
They're both coming
Denise Hemphill and Chad Radwell. Two of our favorite characters.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think you like Chad a little bit more. Like a lot.
He's my Sandy Ryerson.
Oh my god, I almost forgot about Sandy in this episode. Whew. Thank God we kept it.
So they burst in and they have a funny scene. They have really good comedic chemistry together, them two. Mm-hmm. I think we see that a lot going forward.
Yeah.
But Denise says that Shondell was killed and her body's now missing. So that the serial killer's back, baby. Killed Shondell, and then Chad reveals that unfortunately Boone is dead. Also another victim of the serial killer.
Yeah.
And also that he banged 50 chicks since the night before when he and Chanel broke up.
And I was like, good for you, Stamina.
So that's what we leave it on. We leave it on the girl shocked to find out that 2 more people were murdered. 2 more people connected to the Kappa house were murdered. And one of them was Boone. So it's like, is this hinting at Abigail Breslin? Chanel number 5? Is this her work?
How dare you bring her up again? Speak her name on this podcast.
So the final scene of this episode is we cut to the mortuary. We do like a creepy fly into the mortuary until we land on like a meat locker where they keep the bodies. We pull out Boone's body from the meat locker, and then we see the devil is there. And then Boone's eyes pop open. He's alive. He removes the sliced neck, fake makeup from his neck. He says, "What took you so long?"
Boom. That's it.
Boom. That's it.
Bad
so we
boy
find out
Nick
there's
Jonas.
2 red devils. One of them was Nick Jonas. Big revelations in this episode. So now that you know it's Nick Jonas, who do you think is the other red devil?
like if I was just watching the show, or if, like, who do I think right now? Well, I just think Hester, you know? I just think she's fucking crazy. And she knows how to kill a body, and she's like strange, and it's Leah Michelle, and I also don't trust. So
I feel like they do a good job. It's Leah Michelle. It's not Hester, it's Leah Michelle.
But then I'm really suspicious of fucking of Dean Munch. She just like has a lot of power, and then she does a lot, like she I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like there's if I was watching this, probably Chad would be someone I would think, because he's also a weirdo who likes dead bodies, and he's close to Boone, so maybe he's part of the cover-up. Maybe he was there. But I think they do a good job overall in this episode, pinning it on different people, so it does kind of point you in different directions. Because there are a lot of clues where you're like, oh, it must be this person.
Yeah,
but at the same time, maybe it's not, you know? So what do you think? Was this peak or Valley Ryan Murphy?
Peak, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely a peak.
These first 2 episodes are great, and I do think, you know, as one pilot as a whole, it's hard to judge it because it's an hour and a half if you combine it. But yeah, very enjoyable show, very funny, great tone, great mystery.
Great cast, really funny colors, you know, like the Chanels and like what they wear. I always look forward to watching Scream Queens.
Yeah, this season. No shade to season 2. But we'll get there. What do you think was the most Ryan Murphy moment?
I don't think I'm as good at the Ryan Murphy moments as you are. I'm good at the problematic moments because I call.
Well, I think we agree on the problematic moment in this episode. Probably.
I feel like, well, the most problematic moment is definitely, I feel like, whatever she said to, all the stuff that she said to Zayday.
Absolutely, especially in the scene where they're drawing on their stomachs. That's absolutely the most problematic moment.
And I bet that shit actually has or does happen in some sort of hazing.
Oh, it does. It happened.
You know what I mean?
At Kutztown. I think the most Ryan Murphy moment is probably...
I always feel like a Ryan Murphy moment is like having some sort of like, and this is how we really feel about abortion, and and the character's like a talking piece for that. Like that's like how I feel like Orion, like he's like trying to make a statement by hiding it in camp.
I think there's plenty of different types of Ryan Murphy moments. Yeah, I think that's, maybe we didn't explain that well enough in the past episodes, but it could be like a music cue, it could be a sexy gay thing, it could be a campy thing, it could be a monologue that a strong woman gives. Like there's different types of Ryan Murphy moments.
Okay.
But what is the most Ryan Murphy moment of the episode?
I'm going to say the introduction of Denise. I'm going to say, because that was powerful,
Denise Hemphill is a very Ryan Murphy character overall.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan!
And she really takes the show.
Because she is borderline stereotypical also.
Exactly.
She's borderline a stereotype.
And again, if it wasn't for the actor or actress portraying it, it would be like, so, you can't give that to nobody.
One more thing before we go about this episode. So I want to read the critical reception section on this episode's Wikipedia page. So it says, Hell Week, which was this episode, along with the pilot, which was last week's episode, received mixed reviews from critics. Terry Schwartz from IGN stated that Ryan Murphy has worked his TV magic again with a killer start to Scream Queens. From the acting to the costuming to the writing, everything about this concept and execution works. Scream Queens is as funny and self-aware as it needs to be to not bore audiences, but also offers up enough mystery and intrigue to keep even the biggest skeptic entertained. She gave it a 9.7 out of 10. And I think her review kind of sums up how we feel too.
Yeah.
Melissa Mayers from Entertainment Weekly, however, thought that Scream Queens is flawed, but it's worth watching, simply because there's nothing easy about it. The casual brutality takes just as much work to think about as it does to watch. In a negative review, Ben Travers from IndieWire gave the 2-hour premiere a C+ and added, Scream Queens will be lucky if it survives its first season. Murphy may not be able to tell the difference, but modern TV audiences know how to spot a fake.
Oh, the hell?
The drama of it all.
That was drama.
4.04 million people in the U.S. watched the first episode. Yeah, this was another great episode. Part 2 episode.
Part 2, bitch.
Part 2.
There we
Forced
go.
us to do a part 2. I think I'm just upset because it delayed our next show, which I'm very excited to watch again because I never rewatched it. I never rewatched Scream Queens either.
Me either.
But yeah, next week is American Crime Story.
I've never watched American Crime Story.
Ever? Any of them?
I watched like 3 episodes
Of this first season?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of the first season. I watched the whole Versace thing, which I think is
okay.
really bad because it wasn't really.
You think Versace's bad?
I think Versace should have been called like the emancipation of Andrew Cunanan because not the assassination of Versace because he's not really in it. It's all literally a Darren Criss vehicle.
I'm excited to break these two down because you said, American Horror Story, the first episode is Murphy's peak. You said that was like the peak Ryan Murphy show and episode and moment. I think it's Crime Story. I think it's definitely the first season of American Crime Story. That's where he flexed the hardest. That's where he was in his mode. He had a great arsenal of writers and producers and directors to pull from, and he used every arrow in his quill to produce this.
Okay.
So I'm excited to rewatch it for that reason because it's quality television, but also to see kind of the tricks that he's learned. I mean, this is like the halfway point in what we've watched so far. So halfway through his career, basically. In terms of the shows, if you put it that way, what has he done? How has he improved?
Yeah, I'm really excited to see this, especially in the time that we're in now. So,
yikes. I know, yeah. Also very relevant. Thank you for listening. Follow us on Instagram at the Ryan Murphy Project. Please like, share, subscribe, leave us a review. If you leave us a review, we can read the reviews on here, right?
Oh if you give a nice review. It has to be appropriate. We were talking about nipples. What are all the gay things we were talking about this week? It can't be bad. You can't be yelling at us.
Yeah, don't be yelling at us. We're not gonna read it. Or yell at us. How about that's what our reviews are? Just you yelling at us.
And then if you yell at us, we'll just talk about it real quietly.
Yeah, humble us in the reviews. Thank you for listening. Check out our next episode, American Crime Story, coming to you Wednesday, and we will see you then.
See you Wednesday.